For tens of millions, the P in pandemic could just as well stand for poverty, such has been the devastating effect. But for a select few, it's turned out to mean prosperity, profits, profligacy. The lockdown doesn't sound too bad when you get to self-isolate on $1 million yacht like this. Altogether, the wealthy spent so much on these yachts, it would have been enough to fully vaccinate a small nation, like Nepal, for instance. Ritzy mansions have also been snapped off the market amid the raging health crisis, along with Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Rolls-Royces. 5 million more joined the Millionaires Club last year, mostly in the US and Europe.
The rise in wealth inequality was likely not caused by the pandemic itself, nor its direct economic impacts, but was instead a consequence of actions undertaken to mitigate its impact, primarily lower interest rates.
And here's a key reason why. Low interest rates means you can borrow money on the very cheap. Investors use that to get funds which they then throw into the stock market. Shares skyrocket. This is what's happening right now. And that translates directly into massive wealth boosts for major shareholders. Those who were already rich become richer. And that's not all they have going for them.
The ultra-wealthy, especially dynastically wealthy families, have in fact created a two-tier tax system, one set of rules for themselves, another for everyone else. As a result, we end up with absurd situations where a senior government official is able to say that only morons pay the estate tax, openly acknowledging that the US estate tax system is optional for the wealthiest.
A recent leak from the US Revenue Service has revealed that America's billionaires are now used to paying almost no income tax, and it hardly even bothers the taxman in Washington. While if we glance on the bottom end of the wealth pyramid, almost 3 billion worldwide report less than $10,000 in their bank accounts, and more than 100 million have been plunged into extreme poverty by the pandemic. In a bid to keep up the economy's vital signs, the US Federal Reserve has pumped an additional $3.7 trillion of liquidity in since February last year. That's an 88% increase of the national balance sheet. While a lot of that went into the coffers of the rich, it also set off economists' alarms, as it's a bubble. And sooner or later, such bubbles tend to burst.